Okay, so you've just learned all the information you need to know about how to really improve your fluency coherence score. Now we're going to move into the next area on the rubric band, and that is the lexical resource. Lexical resource basically means your vocabulary. And in this lecture, I'm going to cover the basics of the band and also explain the different parts to you so that you really know how to improve your lexical score when it comes to speaking. At the end of this lecture, you'll know exactly what you need to do to be able to get a great lexical score on the speaking test. Again, as in the previous video, here are the band score descriptors. And really, you can really look at just some of the differences. So for example, for a band 7, it says uses vocabulary resources flexibly, some less common vocabulary and idioms. Then for an 8, it says uses a wide vocabulary resource readily and flexibly to convey precise meaning. Okay. Then for a 9, uses vocabulary with full flexibility, not just wide, full flexibility and precision in all topics. Okay. And now the examiners are trained to be able to tell the differences between when somebody's band 6, 7, 8, or 9. They're trained. They have very specific training to be able to recognize where you're fitting on that band scale. So here's some ways to improve your lexical resource. Number 1 is so important, and it deals with using subject-specific vocabulary. If the topic is about language, you should be using specific vocabulary about language. If the topic is about street markets, you should be using specific vocabulary in that area of street markets. If the topic is the weather, use specific subject-specific vocabulary. That really impresses a grader. If you're just using general, basic level words, you're not going to seem that impressive. Paraphrasing, synonyms, and collocations, right? Graders love this. Paraphrase. Synonyms really increase the flexibility and precision of what you're talking about. And native speakers use a lot of collocations. Collocations can be kind of tricky in terms of learning because these are just when you have 2 or 3 words that are put together in a way that native speakers use them. And this takes time for you to really listen to a lot of native speakers, really read up on collocations. That's why practicing is so important. And then you gotta find other ways to say really common words. You really can't use words like good, bad, very, important, give, get. A lot of those really common words, they don't help your score out at all. Now, in terms of, how to expand your lexical resource, like I said earlier, use a wide range. A band 6 or 7 is using a sufficient range. Now you might ask, what's the difference? What's the difference between a wide range and a sufficient range? Well, like I said, the examiners are really trained for that. They're trained for that. Wide range just means that, on all the different topics, you've been able to show a range of vocabulary. A sufficient range means if there are 4 different topics, on maybe 2 or 3 of the different topics that they ask you about, you're able to show range. All right. Now, in terms of, are you using a low or wide range? Really, when you talk about a high band score, are you really using vocabulary that's outside of everyday interactions? Can you really speak on and talk about abstract topics? Low-level students, right, this ability is really evident in parts 2 and 3. Most people can really get by in part number 1 because it's really straightforward questions. But really, low-level lexical ability really reveals itself in parts 2 and 3. That's why I've told you, part number 2 is really what sets the mark. How is your paraphrasing? Right? When we talk about paraphrasing, at a high level, can you use synonyms? Can you change sentence structure? Can you really just convey the same meaning with different words? Or are you using the exact same words as the question? How's your collocation ability? Can you collocate in the same way as a native speaker? Right? Can you self-correct any collocation mistakes? That's impressive also. A lot of times I hear a lot of mistakes in students with their word combinations, and that really deals with collocation. Now, when we're talking about a few more tips and advice, in terms of synonyms, this is what I mean by synonyms. First sentence, my car needs gas. My vehicle requires petrol. Okay? Changing the word order. English is increasingly used, so minor languages will vanish. What I mean by change the word order? Minor languages will disappear because more choose English as their primary language. Switching up the word order, also changing the word form is a way to paraphrase. The local population has poor health from lack of exercise. The city residents are unhealthy due to hardly ever exercising. Changing word form is important. It's impressive, showing that you have that ability. I'm not going to read through these. You can stop it right here, but this is what I mean by subject-specific vocabulary. This is subject-specific vocabulary about sports, subject-specific vocabulary about employment. Subject-specific vocabulary really impresses a grader. Idioms. These are some of the general idioms. Some of the most 25, what they say, the 25 most useful idioms for IELTS speaking. If you're able to really show that you can mix some of these in while you're speaking, is very helpful. These are some more common idioms that are being used. Right? On this list here, which is really interesting, you're going to hear about natural versus unnatural collocations. And I hear these mistakes all the time. On the left side, we have the natural collocations. On the right side, we have the unnatural collocations. Now, are the words correct? Quick. If somebody says quick food, do I know what they're talking about? Yes, I do. Is it the wrong collocation? Yes, it is. You say fast food. You don't say the quick train, you say the fast train. You don't say, I'm going to go grab a fast breakfast. No, I'm going to grab a quick breakfast. You don't say it was big fun. It was great fun. I hear this one a lot. I don't want to do this because I'll lose the time. That's the improper collocation. Waste time. Commit a mistake, correct. Commit a mistake is wrong. Make a mistake is correct. How do you really learn collocations? Well, you really learn them in blocks of language, right? There actually are dictionaries and there are books that really just cover collocations, just so you can really learn collocations, right? Whenever you learn new vocabulary, learn the different ways that new vocabulary is collocated. That's one way. Practice immediately. When you learn collocations, practice using them. Practice using them throughout the day. If you do that, you'll learn how to use them. And learn collocations in group, family, weather, or learn them in terms of specific words. Do, make, take. Expanding beyond like and don't like. A lot of the questions, especially on part 1, are going to ask you about, do you like reading? Do you like music? Do you like to go shopping? But you can't always just say like, don't like, don't like. There are many different ways to say it. I'm very much interested in traveling. I'm quite fond of traveling outside the USA. I'm really into traveling. I'm very passionate about traveling. I'm quite addicted to traveling. I'm keen on traveling in every opportunity. All those are different ways you can say like. Alternatives to don't like. I loathe the activity of shopping. I'm not a fan of shopping. Shopping is not my cup of tea. In fact, it drives me crazy. I can't bear to go shopping. I can't stand shopping on the weekends. I'm not that keen on shopping this weekend. I'm rarely thrilled about shopping. Right? Those are different ways to say don't like. Thank you very much for listening to this video. We appreciate it. And now we're going to move on and talk about grammar. Talk to you soon.